And I think, to me, one of my absolute favorite examples of this week, from that really shows that while we think that tech is evolving fast, sometimes it really isn't as smart as we think it is. And those of you have probably already guessed it, those of you that love sports, I am, of course, referring to the Verge article about the AI camera operator that repeatedly confuses a bald head for a soccer ball during a live stream. To me, that was just epic, and one on a string of stories that show like major fails in sports since the COVID-19 pandemic. And let me tell you, I watch limited sports. But I love a good sports story when it involves the epic failure of the use of AI. So the Scottish soccer club Inverness, their fans have been terribly disappointed that they can't come and watch all of their matches, and I get that. It's like sport. They're sports people. They're junkies. So for me, it would be like the same as like when they canceled ballet. I was pretty upset, But now it's back on. I suspect the Inverness fans are feeling the same thing. So they're like, okay, but we can just put in some cameras. They're operated by AI, and then we can ensure that you always get the best angle of your game, from the comfort of your home. Turns out that the algorithm just one of the linesmen is a bald guy. I feel like there's like the training said, like the data training said, that apparently didn't include a bald guy. Like how many % of the population is bald? It has to be like it's some, it's like 5%. I have no idea. But yeah, so apparently they left out a bald guy from the data training set because consistently when the ball gets in the same screen, like shot as the guy's head, and the ball is shot out of the screen, like the camera thinks that the bald head is the football. It's ridiculously funny.
It will center the ball in the middle.
Exactly, it's like the ball. It's like the shining bald head constantly. They're like, where did the ball go? And you're like, what? Like you're just like, in the beginning before you realize what it's doing, you're like, why is the camera so in love with that guy? You're like, what the ball? The ball's over there, guys. Like you're like, what's happening? So yeah, so the algorithm was so bad, or so good that it completely fell in love with this guy's head instead. And well, I guess they'll need to update it somehow, but it reminds me of another sort of like a breakdown that happened in South Korea, also with soccer, or football as we call it in Europe.
Yeah, the proper name.
Football. So FC Seoul. Again, I think it's like, we're having like a South Korean theme today with some of our stories, I'm noticing, but they care about appearance, like we got the K-pop, we got the K-drama, they're beginning to pioneer fashion. And of course, it's all about optics. You can't have, a season, and then it's like, it's at this pretty famous theater, the Seoul World Cup Stadium.
Wow.
So they're like, we can't have a game with all empty seats. That's a bad idea. So they got this idea that they would put in some dolls spread out in the audience crowd. And then they would like have signs and stuff and be dressed in like their shirts, just like we would do when we're there, drinking beer, eating sausage, like saying something, go FC Seoul. So they fill in all these dolls and they put them in the shirts, and there's no beer, and they're having the sign that says like, yeah, go team, go. And then I guess it was like hard to, with a short notice, get like a lot of dolls. I don't know, Georgia, how many people go in a stadium on average, you think?
It's anywhere between like a full stadium would be 40,000.
Yeah. So let's say, okay, so they couldn't
find a lot of those.
Yeah, they couldn't find 40,000. So they're thinking like, we'll space them out, like with a couple of empty, Corona-friendly 2 seats between. But that's still like, let's be generous and just said they had to get $5,000 with a pretty short notice. And in South Korea, they say, yes, sir, we're going to get those dolls. Problem was that when viewers tuned in, and actually began to like, the cameraman, again, like, the theme of cameras going amok, they zoomed in, and some of those dolls, They were not super appropriate dolls. They were
There's
not.
sex dolls?
They were sex dolls. They were like, why? Like, why does she have a totally open mouth? You know, like they were like, yeah. So of course it was a huge scandal. And it just goes to show, like, sometimes it's better to just say, to say no and not say yes, sir, because obviously it was a huge embarrassment. But it just shows that we're all kind of trying to figure out how to live in this new normal. And on that note, happy election day to everybody. I hope that we'll come out of this election regardless of the results and try to find a way to treat each other with respect. I look forward to visiting all of your homes, all of your phones again next week.